Aniwa. It should be behind the speaker.
On amplifier, there is some switch on. So on amplifier, it's not so. Here.
Yes. Aniwa. Aniwa. Yeah. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavanava Girivaradari Vanava Girivaradari Gopi Janavanava Girivaradari Nava Girivaradha Yashodanandana Brajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajana Ranjana Tira Vanachari Kiravanachari Radha Madhava Kunjabihari Radha Gopi Janavanava Girivaradhari Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajana Ranjana Tira Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Gadada Asado Bhakta Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Damodara, 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 Lalita Vishaka, Lalita Vishaka, Shri Radhe. Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Puranika, Jaya Puranika, Puranika, Jaya Puranika. Hera Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Yam Vishnu Paramahamsa Parivara Jagachaja Stotra Tarastara Srimad is one grace. I beg to bring the Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Jagat Guru Param Guru Swami Prabhupada ki jai. ISKCON Naravatman Acharya Vrinda ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Shri Namacharya Brahmacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem Se Keo Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gora Bhatta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Damodara Gopa Gopinath Shama Kun Radha Kunji Godana ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Mathura Dham ki jai, Navadev Dham ki jai, Ayodhya Dham ki jai, Nilachala Jagannathpuri Dham ki jai, Shri Dham Mayapur Dham ki jai, Shri Gita Nagari Dham ki jai. Glories to the beautiful Lordship, Shri Shri Radha Damodara Lalita Vishaka ki jai. Glories to the beautiful Lordship, Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra ki jai. Glories to the beautiful Lordship, Shri Shri Gora Sundara ki jai. Shila Prabhupada ki jai, Sama Vida Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gora Premanandi, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the Lord Shri of Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Shri Krishna, thank you very much. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 11, Text number 21. Ham Samadaya Mano Yataha Yataha Naha Sankashana Tak Narana Vinde Twad Raja Ramho Lolita Ramya Pasho Gatim Mune Yami Apavida Loka Ham Samataya Mano Yatahana Ham Samadaya Mano Yatahaya Na Sankashantak Charana Vrindaye Twadvrajaram Holulita Gramya Paso Gati Mune Yami Apavida Loka. Word to word translation. Aham I Samadaya fixing family. Fixing family. Manaha the mind. Yata just as. Ha said. Naha power. Sankishana Lord Shankishan. God Charana Aravinde at his lotus feet. Twavrajra of your thunderbolt. Ramha by the force. Lolita torn. Gramya of material attachment. Pashaha the rope. Gatim the destination. Mune of Narada Muni and other devotees. Yami I shall achieve. Apavidaha giving up. Loka this material world where one desires all kinds of impermanent things. Translation and purport by Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. By the force of your thunderbolt, I shall be freed of material bondage and shall give up this body and this world of material desires. Fixing my mind upon the lotus feet of Lord Shankishan, I shall attain the destination of such great sages as Narada Muni, just as Lord Shankishan has said. Repeat responsibly. By the force of your thunderbolt, I shall be freed of material bondage and shall give up this body and this world of material desires, fixing my mind upon the lotus feet of Lord Shankishan. I shall attain the destination of such great sages as Narada Muni, just as Lord Shankishan has said. Report. The words Aham Samadaya Manaha indicate that the most important duty at the time of death is to concentrate one's mind. If one can fix his mind on the lotus feet of Krishna, Vishnu, Sankishan, or any Vishnu Murti, his life will be successful. To be killed while fixing his mind at the lotus feet of Shankishan, Vitrasura asked Indra to release his Vajra or thunderbolt. He was destined to be killed by the thunderbolt given by Lord Vishnu. There was no question of its being baffled. Therefore, Vitrasura requested Indra to release the thunderbolt immediately, and he prepared himself by fixing his mind at the lotus feet of Krishna. A devotee is always ready to give up his material body, which is described herein as Gramya Pasa, the rope of material attachment. The body is not at all good. It is simply a cause of bondage to the material world. Unfortunately, even though the body is destined for destruction, fools and rascals invest all their faith in the body and are never eager to return home back to God. Om Gyana Timiranda Shya Gyana Jnana Salakaya Chakshum Nitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manu Vistam Stapitam Nabhutali Swayam Pakadam Ayadadati Swapadanti Kam. Hey Krishna, Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagapati Gopisha Gopika Kantarada Kantanamostite. Namaha Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Teta Swami Namini. Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Shitatmani Shri Gora Karuna Shakti Bhakti Teta Namini. Namaha Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namini. Namaste Saraswati Devi Goravani Pracharini Neva Shisha Sunyavadi Pashati Adi Satarini. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Sri Vasari Gauravatavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Panchakapatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanabhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Thank you for being here for us to discuss and deliberate on this wonderful text of Srimad Bhagavatam, unto 6 chapter 11 and text number 21. So as the translation reads, by the force of your thunderbolt, I shall be freed of material bondage and shall give up this body and this world of material desires, fixing my mind upon the lotus feet of Lord Shankeshan. I shall attain the destination of such great sages as Naramuni, just as Lord Shankeshan has said. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is elaborating this message that Vitrasura is telling Indra. Like we know how the story has been. Indra was desiring so much to kill Vitrasura because Vitrasura was a thorn in their flesh, in the flesh of the demigods. And they wanted to get rid of you, especially Indra. But Vitrasura was such a powerful person. He couldn't even go anywhere close in destroying it. So eventually they had to approach Lord Vishnu, and then Lord Vishnu gave them the solution, how they can eliminate Vitrasura. They could only eliminate Vitrasura with the bones of Videshi. So Lord Vishnu asked them, go to Videshi and ask him for his bones. How does that sound like? You are there, somebody comes and say, hey, Lord Vishnu says, give me your bones. How are you going to get the bones? I have to die first before you get my bones. But because Videshi was so surrendered to the Lord, he was ready to give his bones, and he did. And they used his bones to form the thunderbolt. Now, Vitrasura knows all these things, that all the instruction came directly from Lord Vishnu. And so he knew once something Lord Vishnu has sanctioned, nothing can destroy it. That's why it is said that if God built for us, nobody can be against us, right? Romans chapter 8, verse 31 in the Bible, it says, if God be for us, who can be against us? And in the life of Prahlad Maharaj, we also realize that no matter how powerful a demon is, if Krishna is on your side, no demon can touch you. And that's why Prahlad was not able, Hiranyakashipu, no matter what he did, he couldn't touch Prahlad. Because if God be for you, no one can be against you. So Vitrasura knows that if Lord Vishnu desires something, Nothing can stop it. So today's test is telling Indra, go ahead and shoot me with a thunderbolt, because this thunderbolt was sanctioned by Lord Vishnu. And I'm ready to die, because I know by fixing my mind on the lotus feet of Lord Shankishan, when this body is destroyed, I'm definitely going to go back home, back to Godhead. And Vitrasura is not lying, because Krishna had also promised in Bhagavad Gita. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has also promised that we see in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, verse 5. Krishna says, and whosoever at the time of death quits his body, remembering me alone, at once attains my nature. Of this, there is no doubt. There is no assurance more than this. Krishna says, if you quit your body, remembering me, of this, there is no doubt. You will definitely come to me. The very next text, chapter 8, verse 6, Krishna continues. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, that state he will attain without fail. Whatever state of being that one remembers, that state you will attain it without fail. This is pure assurance from the Lord. If you remember me, whatever state of your mind at the time of death, you will attain that. So if you are at the time of death, if you are able to fix your mind on the Lord, definitely you go back to God, right? That is, an insurance policy. And how can you deny this insurance policy? Who doesn't want a policy that is like fixed and without flaw? So, Lord, the Lord has given us that assurance that at the time of death, if we remember Him, we're definitely going to come to Him. And it pervades everywhere. It pervades everywhere. That no matter what, if you are able to remember the Lord at the time of death, you will surely achieve it. So someone might ask, what about if I'm so sinful? And I do commit all the sins that I commit, and then if I'm able to remember the Lord at the time of death, then will I be qualified to go back to God? That is a $1 million question. But the Lord Himself has given that assurance. So can something counteract the Lord's assurance? Whatever God has said will come to pass. And that's why we see an example in Luke chapter 23, verse 43. When Jesus was crucified on the cross, there were two thieves, two sinful people who were crucified with Him. One of them was challenging Jesus that if you say you are the Son of God, save yourself and save us. And the other one said, hey, don't be stupid. He did not commit any offense. We did. We deserve what we are going through. He doesn't deserve that. And after saying that, he turned to Jesus and said, Lord, when you go to your kingdom, remember me. And immediately Jesus said, verily, verily, I say unto you, today you shall be with me in paradise. Does that confirm Krishna's word or not? The thief, he was very sinful. But at the time of death, he was able to remember Jesus. He said, Lord, you are sinless, and I'm so sinful, but please remember me when you go to your kingdom. And Jesus fulfilled the saying of Krishna, that verily, verily, I say unto you, today you shall be with me. So what Krishna is telling us, that the state of your mind at the time of death, you achieve it without fail. That is a pure insurance, very perfect insurance policy. And that's why Srila Prabhupada, being so merciful, he has given us all this system, our daily sadhana system. It's like a process of applying for your visa, right? If you want to travel somewhere outside of your country, you need a visa, right? And you just don't wake up one day and the visa appears. No, you have to go through a process. Bring your paperwork, the reasons why you want to go, and you have to be very consistent and very determined. And as long as you go through the process, then you get your visa. Once you get the visa and you board your plane, you reach that country, they will allow you in. But if something is not right, if your visa is not right, once you get to that country, they send you back. Right. So you have to get your paperwork proper. Similarly, Srila Prabhupada has given us the procedure to make sure our visas are right so that we don't get returned back. But if we don't follow the procedure properly, then if we get to the gate of the other country, we will be asked to go back because our visas are not right. And that's why Krishna says, "Dehi knows me yata dehi," in Bhagavad Gita chapter 3, chapter 2, verse 13. That just as your body is changing from boyhood to youth to old age, similarly at the time of death, you will leave the body completely and then you have to take another body. But that body that you take, which body will that be? Depend on your visa. If your visa was right, then you get a spiritual body and go back home, back to God. If your visa is not right, then what happens? You come back home, back to your country, back to where you came from. But we don't want to do that because this is a place of misery. Why would you want to constantly come back to the place of misery? Because we are so attached to this body. We are so attached to the body. I mean, come to think of it, in our everyday life, when we want to establish a business, we make the necessary investigations, we prepare ourselves, make sure that the business is a profitable business. Who want to go to a business that he is going to lose money? But despite all the strenuous efforts we go through, most of the time, the chances are even like 50-50. We may lose money or we may gain. At best, the chances will be 70% against 30%. 70% that we can be successful, but we still have 30% that we might lose. But there's one particular business on this earth that the assurance is 100%. But we never prepare for that business. We never make arrangement for that business. And what is that business? That business is death. The chances is 100%. It's not 50-50, it's not 70-30, it's not 80-20, 100%. Why? Because no matter what, once you are born in this world, no matter what it takes, you will one day what? You will die. And we all know that. We die from day one. And that's why when you are born, when you are 1 year, how do we say? We say he's 1 year old. You've already died 1 year already. 5 years later, you are called 5 years old. You've already died 5 years. 10 years old, 60 years old, 70 years old. And finally, the body will be so useless you cannot even use it. So you have to leave the body entirely. But before you leave the body, what will be the state of your consciousness? And that's why Prabhupada says we should follow the system he has provided us. Because in this yuga, as we are in, Kali Yuga, what is the prescribed method of preparing our consciousness in Kali Yuga? It's through the chanting of the holy names. Chant the holy names. And we should chant the holy names of the Lord with conviction. We shouldn't just chant it mechanically. Because if you chant the names with conviction, then it purifies our heart. It helps us to build our consciousness, our determination, so that we can perfectly prepare our visa. We gradually prepare our visa so that eventually we will be qualified to go through the immigration service at the border of Vakunta. Because without purified mind, your visa cannot pass through the immigration of Vakunta. Because in the immigration of Vakunta, you cannot even forge any paperwork. Huh? You cannot forge the paperwork. And so Lord Chaitanya has emphasized that this age of Kali, the prescribed method of that purification and preparing our visa is Harinam. Harinama, 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 Eva Kevalam. All the great scriptures emphasize that, right? In the Bible, Romans chapter 10, verse 13, he said, whosoever shall call on the name of the Lord shall be saved. It's repeated in Acts chapter 2, verse 21. During the end times, things will be so difficult that whosoever shall call on the name of the Lord shall be saved. And in Surah 17, verse 110 in the Quran, it is also emphasized that all beautiful names belongs to Allah, and whosoever shall call on these names shall be saved. The unfortunate thing is we will never call on the name of God until we are in trouble. Many a time when we are in our car, we will be discussing so many unnecessary things, and we may even completely forget about the Lord. But somehow or the other, if something happens, and by the mercy of the Lord, the car steers from the road and it goes into a ditch, what happens? We immediately forget about the business we are discussing. We immediately forget about everything we are discussing. What comes to mind? Krishna, Jesus, Allah. People will start mentioning the name of God. Because instinctively, the soul knows that at the mention of the name of God, we can be saved. And that's why insisting by instinct, when something happens like that, that is the first thing that comes to mind. Try to call on the name of God. So if the name of God is so powerful that it can save us from such situation, why don't we call on the name even before the bad day comes? But we wait. And because we are so attached to this body, sometimes we think that without this body, nothing will happen. When somebody dies and we are taking the body, that is the time we remember that this body is nothing. Oh, this body is nothing. Look at Prabhu. He's dying there, he's lying there, lifeless. At that material moment, we are reminded that this body is nothing. But go home, 30 minutes later, 1 hour later, we completely forget about it. Forgetfulness. We completely forget about it. And then we begin to do our own thing again and again and again. And this keeps on bringing us back over and over again. There he knows me, Yatadi, he Kumaram Yuvaram Jala, Tatadi Antara Prapti, Diras Tatrana Muyati. We continue repeating birth and birth over and over and over again. So we have to prepare ourselves properly. Last week when I was talking, last 2 weeks, the Interaka Prabhu asked me about the process of reincarnation. Whether it's also accepted in other scriptures. Yeah, sure. Because reincarnation is such a powerful thing that once your visa is not proper, you have to come back. There's no two ways about that. And so I was making reference in the book of Kings, 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 11. There was a powerful sage called Elijah. Elijah was so powerful. He was so powerful that when he takes his chadar and he hits the river, The river will part into two, and he will walk through the bed of the river. He was so powerful. He could chant, and fire will come from the heavens and consume sacrificial offerings. He was such a powerful sage. So in 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 11, Elijah was moving with his disciple Elisha, and a chariot of fire came from the heavens and whisked him away. And some decades after that, one prophet came, Prophet Malachi, and Malachi predicted that Elijah who was whisked away, the Lord says he has to come again. So every day the Jews were looking in the sky, waiting for Elijah to appear. Because they knew that he was whisked to the heaven by a chariot of fire. So they were always looking. And they know as long as Elijah has not appeared, the Messiah will not come. That is the prediction in Malachi chapter 4, verse 5 and 6. So one day, Jesus had to go to the mountains for a special prayer with 3 of his disciples, Peter, James, and John. They went to the mountains, and after the prayers, there was a transfiguration. Something special happened on the mountains. 3 people transfigured, appeared there. And one of the people who appeared there was Elijah, Moses, and then Jesus himself also transfigured. And so the disciples saw this transfiguration. So when they were descending, when they were coming out of the mountain, they asked Jesus, why is it that the prophets have predicted that Elijah must first come before you, but he has not come? If he has come, we wouldn't have seen him there. He has not come. Does that mean you are not the Messiah? And Jesus said, verily, verily, I say unto you, Elijah has already come, and you did not recognize him, and you have done to him all that you like. So will you do to me. And they understood that he was talking to them about John the Baptist. John the Baptist. This was the disciples' mentality. Wow. So the Elijah who is supposed to come is John. Matthew chapter 17, from verse 10 to 14. The description is there. So let's see, what did Jesus himself say about Elijah? In chapter 17, it was the disciples who were thinking like this, right? That John is Elijah. In Matthew chapter 11, from verse 10 to 14, Jesus said, no man has been born out of the womb of a woman as great as John. But he who is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than John. And until the time of John, all the prophets prophesied until the time of John. And if you want to receive that prophecy, if you want to accept that prophecy, John is Elijah, whose coming was predicted. He that has ears to hear, let him hear. Because he knew some people will say, no, this is not possible. How can Elijah be the one who has appeared as John the Baptist? According to the law of God, if at the time of death you remember God, you go and never come back, right? So if Elijah was such a great sage, why has he come back? The answer is found in 1 Kings chapter 18 from verse 35. That is where you find the answer. Why Elijah had to come back. Because in 1 Kings chapter 18 from verse 35, Elijah had a competition with the Baal worshippers. And he prayed for fire to come from the skies and consume the sacrificial arena. After he defeated the Baal worshippers, he did not convert them. He did not ask them, oh, chant the names of God. Oh, do the will of God. No. He captured them. He ordered all these Baal worshippers should be captured. And they took them to the valley of Kishon. And they cut their heads. They slaughtered them. So that hairs, those hairs that he cut off, he has to come back and pay back. And this is what is called the law of karma. He has to come back and pay. And so he came as John. And when Herod's daughter was having a party, And Herod asked the daughter, what do you want? He said, I want the head of John. Nobody understood it. It's weird. Your father is asking you for something. Ask him something. Your birthday. What do you want? And you say, I want John's head. John's head must go. But who will give him or herself the chance for the head to go? Once you give yourself the chance for the head to come through you, you also incur karma. And that is why in Matthew chapter 18, verse 7, he explains that woe unto the world, this world, woe betides you because of sin. But that sin, whether you like it or not, the sin will come. But he who gives himself the way for the sin to come through, it's good that you had not been born, because you will suffer tremendously. So that is how karma works. If there is, if it's Dhruva's karma that he get a big slap at exactly 8 o'clock, it's a karma that he gets a slap. Now, if I'm also desiring that today I'm so mad that anybody who disturbs me, I'm going to give him a bad slap. So if my desire is so strong, then automatically the laws of nature will arrange that I fulfill my desire. So the laws of nature will arrange that I meet Dhruva at the corner and Dhruva starts telling me some stupid things. You are crazy. You are a chaka. I don't know what's wrong with you. And so in order to fulfill my desire, take my hands, boom, slap him. He fulfills his karma, I fulfill my desire. But because I gave myself the chance for the karma to come through me, I've also sown karma to come and suffer, right? And that is why if we exercise, what do we call it? Compassion and humility, if we exercise respect for each other, then our desires will be suppressed so much so that we will not give ourselves the opportunity for somebody's karma to come through us. And that explains why Jesus, when his disciples asked him, for how many times should we forgive somebody? Jesus said, 77 times, 7 times. If you multiply 77 by 7, you know how much it is. Say that many times you should forgive somebody. Why? Forgiving somebody is forgiving yourself. Why? Because if somebody hits you, like Surupo, if I hit you, right? You can hit me back. But if you hit me back, it doesn't mean that you have nullified the karma. No. It's your karma that somebody hits you at that material moment. Now, if I hit you and you forgive me, you don't touch me, you have fulfilled your karma. Your slate becomes clean. But immediately you reply me, you have sown another karma. So you don't want to do that. And that's why we are taught how to be humble as a blade of grass. You know why Lord Chaitanya always says that be humble and tolerant as a blade of grass. If you go to Beverly Hills, anybody who builds very beautiful building, you see they plant grass, beautiful grass all around the building, and they will hire someone to decorate the grass. Always the person will bring a lawnmower, give the grass a very nice shape, right? And will be watering the grass, and they will put a sign there: trespassers will be prosecuted. Why? Because the grass is so humble that if you are walking and you step in anything bad, any nasty thing, if you happen to step in anything nasty, you look around, you see any grass around, what do? You go to the grass and you wipe your feet on the grass, and the grass will not complain. You will allow you to wipe your feet. And after you finish wiping your feet and you go, the grass will stand up and still be there. Because he's so humble. If you buy a very beautiful house, you go and buy the grass. You go and spend money to buy the grass, plant it in your yard, give him a very nice, beautiful shape, and put a sign there, warning, trespassers will be prosecuted. So if you learn how to be humble, it's for your own benefit. Because he who lowers himself is exalted by the Lord. You humble yourself and the Lord will exalt you. You exalt yourself and the Lord will humble you. I don't want to talk too much. We only have 15 minutes. Any questions or comments? Are there any questions or comments? Yeah.
Thank you for this wonderful class. So interesting. So my question is, so often now when people are dying, they're doing so in a hospital or maybe in a hospice setting, and they're given so much medication, most often morphine, to keep them peaceful and to keep them from being in pain as they're dying. So how does that affect people's consciousness and their ability to have their minds be clear enough to be thinking about the Lord? Does this have a negative effect on that death process?
Yeah. That is why it is very recommended that when you are on your deathbed, you should have people who are godly to be around you to at least help you remember God at the time of death. But Krishna is so merciful. Krishna is so merciful that if even you don't have those people around you, but during your lifetime, you seriously practice remembering him, calling on him, then at the time of death, he himself will make sure you remember him. That is the special mercy of the Lord and the spiritual master. If Krishna himself doesn't come, the spiritual master will come. He will appear to you so that you can remember. There is a popular story about one of Prabhupada's disciples who left the movement for a long time. Then he was in the hospital bed in coma for a long time. One morning, they say he woke up. He sat in his bed all of a sudden and he said, "Oh, Prabhupada, you came." Fell back, and that was it. Our system is so practical, it's powerful. But unfortunately, we are so addicted. I mean, come to think of it, in this world, let's say you are a very poor person, you don't have anything. Anytime you pray, "Oh Lord, please, why am I suffering like this? If you help me with one single room, that will be enough for me and my children. One single room. I just need one bedroom apartment. I don't need much." And if the Lord helps you and you get one bedroom apartment, wait till 1 year, 2 years, then your prayer will change. "Please, Lord, this one bedroom, we are so congested in this room. Can you give me 2 bedrooms apartment so that the children can use one room and me and my husband can use the other room?" The Lord fulfills that desire. Now you get a 2 bedroom apartment. Sooner or later, your prayer will change. "Oh Lord, if I get a 3 bedroom apartment so that the children will use one, I will use one, and when I get a visitor, the visitor will use the other one." Your prayer never ceases changing. That is the nature of this world. This world is designed that our desires never, we keep changing our desire. We always want something else. No matter how much God fulfills our desire, we will always want more. I tell you a quick story before the time is up. There is this guy who went to church. He was owing some money. He was owing some money, $100. But he was so poor, he didn't have the $100. But the person was always tormenting him. So this guy went to the church and he started praying seriously to God. "God, why? I've been serving you all these years, God. I only need $100. And me and my family will be very peaceful. $100, Lord. Is it difficult? Is it too much to ask?" The guy was praying and crying. Seriously, deeply from his heart. He was praying and crying. So after the prayers, then as he was going outside of the church, there was this guy at the entrance of the church waiting for him. So immediately he got there, the guy gave him $100. He said, "Hey, look, get the $100, settle your debt, and be peaceful." The guy was so happy. "Oh my God, thank you, God." Then something struck him. He remembered that, oh, this is the guy who was sitting behind me in the church room. Oh my God, I should have said 200. Once he remembered that the guy was the guy behind him at the church room, he said, so maybe he heard my prayers. And that's why he has given me this 100. Oh my God, why did I do this mistake? Why did I make the mistake? I should have said 200, maybe 500. Now he has gotten the $100, but he will never be happy. Why? Because now he thinks he has been stupid. He should have said 200 or 500. And because of that, the $100 is no more fulfilling his happiness. No, that is the nature of this world, isn't it? We will be praying seriously, and Krishna fulfills this desire immediately. Oh, why didn't I say something else? Maybe Krishna would have fulfilled that. That is the nature of this world. And that's why we should always be very thankful to Srila Prabhupada, because Srila Prabhupada will always help us to be grateful by chanting the holy names of the Lord. We will develop the heart of being grateful. We will always be able to show our gratitude to any little thing that comes our way. Any little thing that comes our way, we will be very grateful. Other than that, Vitrasura, he was not afraid of death. There are some people who are also not afraid of death. Yesterday, I asked that question to, what is his name? Yashadev. And he perfectly answered that question. That somebody is walking there, outside there. He's not scared of death. But that doesn't mean that when death comes, the pain of death will not come with it. He's not scared of death because he has messed his life up. He doesn't care whether he lives or dies. He doesn't care. There is another person who is also not afraid of death. But that person is not afraid of death because of knowledge, because he's so absorbed in thinking of the Lord. He knows that the Lord will come to him. When death comes, the Lord will come to him and pick him up and take him back home, back to God. That is the reason why he's not afraid of death. The other one doesn't care where he goes. He might be going to the darkest regions of ignorance, the deep regions of hell. But he's so ignorant that he doesn't care. And that, you see, two people are very happy in this world, right? The highly elevated soul and the one who is completely down. Huh? Because why? Because he who is down fears no fall. If you're already lying on the ground, you don't fear whether you fall. How are you going to fall when you're already lying on the ground? So we should be like the person who is here, who is not scared of death. Why? Because we know that at the time of death, our Guru Maharaj will appear. Our Guru Maharaj will come and save us. Srila Prabhupada will come. And we'll be qualified to go back home, back to God. Do that make sense? Good. Any other question? We still have 5 minutes. Yeah, so if we actually, I'm not seeing any hand up here. Yeah, Taraka Prabhu's hands is up. Taraka Prabhu, please, you may unmute.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu, for your wonderful class. Yeah, very inspiring in a bunch of ways. I have a question related to some things that you conveyed today. You were talking about Elijah and John the Baptist. From my perspective, this story supports the idea of reincarnation. But Christians generally, of course, will deny that. They will say that, well, biblical doctrine does not support reincarnation at all, and they have some ways of trying to explain how the story, in fact, does not really support reincarnation, that John the Baptist was not actually literally Elijah, but John the Baptist was fulfilling the mission and the spirit of Elijah, but was not actually Elijah reincarnated. I wonder if you could further elaborate or somehow explain your perspective on this issue.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Anka Prabhu. You know, it's like if you are in class and you ask your guru some question, and the question you ask, when the guru asks you a question and you give answers, and if the answer is wrong, what would the guru tell you? Will he not tell you that this is not right? Okay, if they don't believe that reincarnation is there, Jesus asked his disciples in Matthew chapter 16. He said, "Who do people say I am?" And the answers the disciples gave. Some say you are Elijah who has come back. Some say you are Jeremiah who has come back. Some say you are one of the prophets who has come back. And Jesus said, "What do you say?" And Peter said, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." And Jesus said, "Yes, this was not revealed to you by flesh and blood. This was revealed to you by the Spirit." So if reincarnation is not supported by Jesus, when the disciples were given that, some say you are Elijah who has come back, somebody say you are Jeremiah who has come back, wasn't it the appropriate time for Jesus to have told them that, hey, there's nothing like reincarnation? But he never said that. And if they don't believe it, let's see what Jesus said in John chapter 8, verse 56. John chapter 8, verse 54 to 56. Jesus said, "Your father Abraham desired to know me, and when he saw me, he was very happy." And the Jews were like, "You are not even up to 50 years. Why would you say that Abraham saw you and he was happy?" So they took stones and wanted to stone him. And Paul confirmed the meeting of Jesus and Abraham. In Hebrews chapter 7, from verse 1, he says, "And for this priest, for this Melchizedek, the priest of the Most High God, he has no beginning of days, he has no end of days. He has no mother, he has no father." Abraham met him and paid tithes to Melchizedek. Abraham doesn't pay any tithes to any priest except Jehovah God. But Abraham paid tithes to Melchizedek. And Jesus will be born in the likeness of Melchizedek. And so when Jesus made that reference that your father Abraham saw me and he was happy, he was making the reference to the meeting of Abraham and who? And Melchizedek. That one is not actually like reincarnation, but it is a reference to show that the word of God, that is why we say Guru Tattva. The word of God makes itself manifest every now and then in the life of our existence. And so Jesus was making that reference, how the word of God was made manifest in the time of Melchizedek. And the same word of God is making manifest in his time. But what we are saying is that a lot of Christians will argue the point that Elijah is not the reincarnation of John the Baptist is not the reincarnation of what do we call it? Elijah. But Jesus himself is saying that all the prophets prophesied until John, and there are about 3 prophecies that Malachi made in Malachi. Malachi chapter 4, verse 5 and 6. Malachi chapter 1 from verse 3. All these things. Malachi, the prophet Malachi, keep emphasizing that Elijah will come again. And Jesus confirmed, he said, if you want to receive the prophecy, if you want to accept that prophecy, John is Elijah, whose coming was predicted. He that has ears to hear, let him hear. Matthew chapter 10, from verse 11 to 14. So anybody can say whatever, because Jesus knew a lot of people would dispute it. That's why he said, he that has ears to hear, Let him hear.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. That was very good.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Shri Radha Damodar.
Hare Krishna. Sa Glória seja pelo Espírito da Revolução de Sua Glory to the Holy Ghost, which is glory to our Shila Prabhupada, Sama Prabhupada, glory to glory
no one can continue to style. Fucking sense. I don't know that's in mind. They give them carry scary doubts. Yeah, and you will responsibility is that what you can do see that. The fact that we got how say the why you say that you need to the next is that the same. If we have no if this be you we have a reason. Yeah. Someone this one's not scared. Is that yes. So scared. Yeah. But one week, you go like this. So it's not the thing you bring out that. That's it. I want to try since I did. That. Because what he has to do is, like he already tried, to go to the town, change the else. That's what they'll try again. Yeah, that's just. Then talk like this, you know, she wants to make. How we do that exactly.
Sure. Nice. But this is actually is weird. Yeah, I don't. What would you describe them? What would be these? Now, yeah.
And one of the biggest so it's because we have to do that. What level of that still exists. This is here. Now, what you're going to be on this decision. What we want to do. One of them is this. The example we want to do. No for anxiety. Because the person feels in universe. Not peace. But my words, what they're doing. Everything is on me. And go there, yeah. You can tell that was the it seems that I tell the people in the family in South Africa, which now they live in constant, and you know, yeah. What's the movie right now? We go, wow. We should have been moving in this. It's very sick, the box, and pure urban nothing. We have a relationship with the box. So actually, brother, you don't realize. And when you say, we really had someone this these guys don't in fact until this young that's yeah. Please. No, I mean, if you your arms, but they don't have diseases of their nerves. You can mind that. I'll read them. So, yes.
Fine. So how I can stay out. Scrapras. I know which video.
We're always talking about buckets, but I always see some tiny gallons for Prabhupada.
Tell them it's not about not having flowers, it's about you know what? Won't say the words. Okay, I'll tell them, I'll give them feedback. I said, every time I say Hari Chakra said, then they listen. What happened here now? Right, can you make us play some? Yes, yes. Yeah. Sure. Which Ken is pitching on the road. Being there for like it's so big, like the show one by one. People just come in and come here. Thank you. Right.